A cold wind swept through the quiet suburban street as a young delivery boy pulled his worn jacket tighter around him. His shoes were scuffed, his bike rusty, and the large delivery bag on his back looked heavier than it should have been. But what weighed him down the most that evening wasn't the food he carried, it was the way people looked at him. Invisible to some, annoying to others, and to a few, less than human. He stopped in front of a large, well-lit house with a perfectly manicured lawn. Laughter spilled out from inside, warm and full of life. For a brief second, he stood still, watching through the window. Then he took a deep breath, rang the doorbell, and prepared himself for whatever came next. Before we begin this powerful story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Welcome to Kindness Story Hub, where every story reminds us that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. The door swung open, and a man in his late 40s stood there, dressed in an expensive suit. He glanced at the delivery boy with a quick, dismissive look. "You're late," the man said sharply, without even asking for the name. "I'm really sorry, sir," the boy replied politely. "There was traffic, and—" "I don't need excuses," the man interrupted. "People like you always have one." The boy lowered his eyes and nodded quietly. He had heard those words before. Many times. A woman appeared behind the man, holding a glass of wine. She looked the boy up and down, her expression tightening. "Why do they always send this type?" she muttered under her breath, but loud enough for him to hear. The boy's fingers tightened around the delivery bag strap, but he stayed calm. "Your total is $32.50, he said gently. The man pulled out his wallet, counted the money slowly, and handed it over without even looking at him. "No tip." "No thank you." As the boy turned to leave, a teenage girl from inside the house called out, "Hey, wait." He paused and turned back. She walked up to the door, holding a small bottle of water. "Here," she said, offering it to him. "You look tired." For the first time that evening, the boy smiled. "Thank you," he said softly. But before he could take it, the man snapped, "Emily, don't encourage him. He's just doing his job." The girl hesitated, then slowly lowered her hand. The boy gave a small nod, understanding, and stepped away. "It's okay," he said. "Have a good night." He walked back to his bike, placed the empty delivery bag carefully, and took a sip from his own nearly empty water bottle. Then he rode off into the dark street. What no one in that house knew was that this wasn't just any delivery boy. His name was Daniel Carter. And this job, this simple, humble job, was a choice. A few miles away, Daniel stopped at a small park. He sat on a bench, looking up at the night sky. His phone buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. "Everything going as planned," it read. Daniel typed back, "Yes. Still learning." He put his phone away and closed his eyes for a moment, as if replaying the evening in his mind. You see, Daniel wasn't poor. He wasn't struggling. In fact, he came from a family that owned one of the largest food service companies in the region. His father had built it from nothing, and now it supplied restaurants, hotels, and delivery chains across several states. But Daniel had grown up with something his father always insisted on: humility. "Never forget what it feels like to be overlooked," his father used to say. "Because one day, you'll be in a position where your kindness, or your lack of it, will matter more than money." When Daniel turned 21, instead of stepping directly into a high-level position in the company, he made a surprising decision. He wanted to understand the business from the ground up. Not from an office. Not from reports. But from the streets. So he took on a job as a delivery worker under a different name, in one of the company's smaller partner branches. No one knew who he really was. Every day, he faced long hours, difficult customers, and moments that tested his patience. But he also saw something deeper, how people treated those they believed had no power. And that night at the big house, it stayed with him. A week later, Daniel returned to the same neighborhood. Another delivery. Another house. As he approached, he realized it was the same place. He paused for a moment, then walked up and rang the bell again. This time, the teenage girl, Emily, opened the door. "Oh, it's you," she said, recognizing him. Her expression softened. "Hi." "Hi," Daniel replied with a small smile. "Delivery." She took the bag and turned back inside. "Dad, it's the same delivery guy." The man appeared again, but this time, he looked slightly distracted. "How much?" he asked. $28.75, Daniel said. The man handed over the money quickly, still not making eye contact. But Emily stepped forward again. "Wait," she said, reaching into her pocket. She pulled out a few dollars and handed them to Daniel. "For you," she said. "Thank you." Daniel hesitated, then accepted it. "Thank you," he said sincerely. As he turned to leave, the man suddenly asked, "Why do you keep coming back here? Don't you have other areas?" Daniel paused. "I go where the orders take me," he replied calmly. The man scoffed. "Must be tough, doing this all day." Daniel looked at him for a moment, not with anger, but with quiet understanding. "Success," Daniel said, "is not just about how high you rise. It's about how you treat those you believe are beneath you." Mr. Thompson felt a knot form in his stomach. After the speech, guests lined up to meet Daniel. When it was Mr. Thompson's turn, his hands felt unusually heavy. "Mr. Carter," he said, forcing a smile. "It's an honor." Daniel looked at him, recognizing him instantly. "Yes," Daniel said gently. "We've met before." Mr. Thompson swallowed hard. I didn't know," he stammered. Daniel nodded. "That's the point." There was no anger in his voice. No resentment. Just calm honesty. "I wasn't there as a CEO," Daniel continued. "I was there as a delivery worker. And how you treat someone shouldn't depend on who you think they are." Mr. Thompson lowered his eyes. "You're right," he said quietly. "I'm sorry." Daniel studied him for a moment, then smiled, warm and genuine. "Kindness doesn't need a title," he said. "It just needs a choice." That moment stayed with Mr. Thompson long after the conference ended. He went home that evening, sat down with his family, and told them everything. From that day on, things began to change. He started greeting delivery workers with respect. Offering water. Saying thank you. Leaving tips, not out of obligation, but appreciation. And Emily? She never forgot that night either. She continued her small acts of kindness, knowing they mattered more than she had ever realized. As for Daniel, he continued his journey, leading the company with a new vision. One rooted not just in success, but in humanity. Because sometimes, the people we overlook are the ones who teach us the biggest lessons. And sometimes, the smallest acts, like a kind word, a smile, or a simple thank you, can echo louder than any grand gesture. So the next time someone stands at your door, serves your food, or crosses your path, remember this story. Not everyone will reveal their identity. But everyone deserves your kindness. And in the end, kindness is the only thing that truly defines who we are.